Hey folks, you're
Absolute Packer podcast initiating in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're on. Sweet. Welcome, Absolute Packer podcast listeners and fans, to episode 8 of our podcast. Today we're going to recap the Packers versus the Cowboys. Elliot, what's up?
Yeah, that was, I love that game. That was the game of the season. I have a hard time believing that short of a Super Bowl win, I'm going to feel more emotional about a game than I did over that one.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the game started out, I think it kind of felt a lot like the Bengals game where like they kind of got down and you're going, where's this going to go? You know, we're on the road too in a hostile place. So I'm thinking, I didn't really like where it was trending, but the lead up till the end. And then at the very end, I was pacing around my house, at that last possession with Rodgers.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That, the ending of that game, it was fantastic. That was, it was in terms of just the quality of the game and the entertainment value.
I mean, and you're going to get into it, but I blame the coaching because I have to. I don't understand it. If Rodgers and the rest of the offense are able to ever do what they do when they're pushed against the wall, why can't they just come out doing that right away? What is this like run? And I don't get it. I don't get it.
That's a fair point. I think we can kind of hop into that a little bit within the X's and O's. And I mean, it goes back to that kind of saying, it's like whatever adjustments you make in the second half, make those adjustments right when you start the game. Just do that.
Well, yeah. They see what works. And I don't want to be turned into a negative. Like, it was a great game, and playing from behind is fun, and everything was great. I mean, I don't want to downplay anything, and all the games are tough, and, they played a pretty tough team. But
I hear you. It's a big button. I mean, you look at that first drive, and they get them in third down, and then lo and behold, Prescott rolls out, and throws like a freaking 50-yard pass wide to a wide open guy on third down. I'm going here, and I mean, look, that's the first bullet I have in here. I say death, taxes, and opening touchdown surrendered against the Packers defense. Right. It's just, for whatever reason, almost every NFL team, to include the Packers, on offense, they script the opening drive.
I think they got to stop plays.
Yeah, and it's every team does.
What is it doing for them? It's doing nothing for them.
Whatever teams that are scripting against Dom Capers, that script is Oscar worthy. So, it's like I said, it's just every game they seem to just give up a touchdown quickly. Now, they had a bad penalty called on Blake Martinez in the end zone. That was a phantom call. That was
terrible.
It was terrible. But when I look at that drive,
it wouldn't have mattered.
It wouldn't have mattered because they were just moving on them at will. And again, they completed like some 40-yard pass on third down. It's just, it's obscene. So anyway, lather, rinse, repeat, as I say here. So that trend, though, has got to stop. It feels like they've given up a touchdown easily at the beginning of every game where they've deferred, meaning our defense goes on the field first. Now, we didn't do that against Seattle, but I think every other game it's happened, and it's just a disturbing trend. You want to start out fast on both sides of the ball, and when you start out, just laying an egg like that, it's troublesome. So within that, I got a couple kind of sub bullets since I'll be negative Nancy here for a little bit.
Why does Nancy get such a bad rap?
I don't know. I just like saying negative
I don't.
Nancy.
Everybody does.
Yeah, and then I just changed my voice a little bit. So yeah, this has been kind of brewing in my brain for a lot of the season so far, and it's Clinton Dix. I've been sort of watching him, isolating him on defense for a bit now, because he's always the last deep safety typically when they're on the passing downs. Mm-hmm. And he's having a bad season. He's playing below average right now, and this was a guy who was voted to the Pro Bowl last year. Right. I think he was pretty much worthy of that, but this year he hasn't really made any impactful plays. He's been out of position a lot. He's missed tackles. He needs to pick up his game. And it continued to go with this game. Their best safety right now, and I would say best overall defender, is Morgan Burnett, the other safety. But he got hurt in this game too. So it's another thing. I mean, they weathered some injuries, and they still managed to win on the road in a hostile environment. Got to give them credit for that. But I wanted to touch on Clinton Dix. And then within that, this is the overarching theme with the problems on defense. I think our front seven, the defensive linemen and the linebackers are good. You know, when I say good, I mean they're average or above average. They're pretty good. They're solid. On the back end, the cornerbacks, just the cornerbacks, exclude the safety. So whether you have a slot cornerback or the outside cornerbacks, they have real problems there. They're just Kevin King, the rookie. You know, he played and he did okay. I mean, everybody gets burned by Des Bryant, who's just a freak.
Yeah, I think he did well.
But he ended up getting a concussion. Yeah. So when he got a concussion pretty early in that game, and obviously he's not going to play anymore in that game, and he was their best cornerback. And he's a straight up rookie, and everybody they got behind him, I made a note here, they all have huge flaws. Every single guy behind him, they have nothing. You know, so if Kevin King, he may not play this week. They have nobody in the back end that they can line up on cornerback and feel comfortable with. I mean, Randall got that pick 6. Yeah, it fell into his lap. He still made the play. But then what does he do? He makes the most idiotic penalty in the world, and that was a penalty that directly affected the team. I mean, Mike McCarthy even called it out after the game.
Okay, so you know what? I was a little confused by that. So what is it?
The penalty?
Yeah, what did he actually do?
You know, there were two things I noticed. Number one, when he flips the ball to Prescott and kind of hits him. That was kind of, if that was what they called the penalty on, I think that's kind of
that didn't seem like anything big deal.
It doesn't, and I'm not sure if that's what it was. But if you notice, he does. He did this thing where he threw his arms up and did an X.
And what's wrong with that?
That's taunting. That's what they call taunting. It's stupid. I agree. I mean, these are grown men playing a grown game, making a lot of money. But you have
I saw
to know
worse than that the rest of the game on both sides, both teams. Like I
agree with you.
So,
I just think,
I don't want to defend him because I think he's kind of a loose cannon, but like that's not.
Yeah. I think it is kind of. I tend to agree with you. It's overblown and whatnot, but. You know, that's the typical Demarius Randall. Yeah. He'll make one good play and then he'll do something incredibly freaking stupid the next. And it's just, they cost him 15 yards. And then what was even crazier, I heard an interview the next day, I think it was on social media, or it might have been right after the game, I'm sorry, but I heard some play of, they were asking Randall about that play. And he was it was very odd. It was like, he basically said, I didn't get a penalty and acted weird.
Yeah, that was strange.
So he's... Look, let's be honest. The only reason Randall's on the team is because they have no depth.
Right.
We know his history. If he was either a late pick or they had any semblance of depth, he's not on the team. And so, you know, the other cornerbacks, which I'll just gloss over, I mean, they got Quentin Rollins, who was in the same draft class. He was a basketball player in high school or college who played 1 year of college football. So he's still learning football, for Pete's sakes. And he's not an NFL caliber player. I hate to say it. You know, he's a try-hard guy. He's not fast enough. He's not quick twitch, and he barely played any football in college. So he's an athlete. But the league is littered with athletes who don't know how to play football, if you know what I mean.
For sure. Yeah.
And he's a classic example of that. And then, you know, Devon House was another one. He was that cornerback that used to play for him. They signed him because he got released by Jacksonville.
Right.
He's been pedestrian.
But he's injured too.
He's been hurt too.
He's injured, right?
And I mean, look, there's a reason he was available. People go, we're getting House back. And I go, he got cut by Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. You know, that tells you what you need to know. So, yeah, he's not terrible, but he was their number one corner going into camp. And he's not a number one corner. He's like a number 3, you know? So I don't know what they're going to do with the back end. Hopefully they start to improve. If they start to generate more pass rush, it'll cover up those flaws.
So the Packers are. So I feel like our team is the one team where the run to set up the pass works against, because
you mentioned that like you do the opposite.
Very one dimensional.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, okay, we can stop the run, but that's all we can do then. And
McCarthy does not want to run the ball. He feeds a lip service, but he's so full of shit. He doesn't want to do it. But at the same time,
no. But I mean, on defense, like it.
On defense.
Like no, I mean, so on defense, I just don't feel like the Packers can be, and I understand it's an offensively tilted game, period. But other teams are able to do a better job of just covering the pass and the run. You know, they can switch. They can switch things up.
I agree with you. And the other thing that's disconcerting with the defense on the whole is, and I mean, look, I'll call it what it is. When guys are catching passes against this defense, they're not contested catches. They're open. And in the NFL, the definition of open is, you know,
right.
I mean, these guys are wide. It's all what I'm saying is they're wide open. If you're Flip side of the Packers, we don't have much speed on wide receiver. We have savvy, but almost every catch is contested.
Right.
There's nothing wide open. I mean, these guys are running free everywhere. It's just so I don't know what they're going to do with the secondary. They have to pick up the pass rush because I just can't see us.
So I don't know if that's
getting better.
I don't know if that's talent or if it's Dom Capers. I don't know what the deal is.
That's probably somewhere in between. I mean, again, when you look at Demarius Randall, he was a safety in college. They're trying to convert him to cornerback. I mean, I think it's partially on Ted and partially on Dom.
Yeah.
But you can't keep throwing these guys out here and expecting different results.
Okay.
If there's other guys.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
So I did want to segue into your next bullet, though, which was about offense and running the ball.
Yes. This is going to be positivity going on right here. Aaron Jones, and I just flat out said it right here when I was typing some of these notes.
Right.
Aaron Jones, he looks twice as good as Ty Montgomery as a running back right now. And this was basically his first NFL start. I think he ran for 120 yards. He had a touchdown. He's faster, quicker, and he looks like a real running back, and he is one.
Yep.
And I flat out say it right now. Ty Montgomery, he hurt some ribs against the Bears, was it, or was it the Bengals? I can't remember. But he broke some ribs, and he was held out of this game. And if I were him, I'd be nervous because he should not be the starter. I mean, I feel bad for Montgomery in a way because he was put in a
no-win situation.
Really, I mean, it's like he was drafted as a receiver,
Right.
got hurt, lost a lot of that. Remember, he hurt his ankle and they ended up having to go on injured reserve. And then he comes back, and then they convert him to a wide receiver last year because they didn't have any other freaking running backs on the roster. That was Ted's fault.
Right.
And so he played some running back, but he's the classic definition of a guy. He's an ultimate tweener player. A tweener, I mean, he's decent receiver, decent running back, but you can't be a tweener in the NFL. You won't make it. You'll just be a guy. So I think with Montgomery, one thing they should have done more, and they did it here and there, but they should have really done it more, was use him more in the passing game, for Pete's sake.
Yeah.
Running him up the gut was just, he's not going to do it.
No.
But Aaron Jones, I mean, unless he's a flash in the pan, he looks fantastic.
Yeah. I enough said on that. I mean,
you give Aaron Jones, you give Aaron Rodgers a real running back and a real running game.
Yeah.
And you would talk about deadly.
Yeah,
I mean, Lacey was good,
but
Lacey didn't have speed. This guy looks like he's got everything at speed. So, I think that's great.
Yeah,
he looked fantastic.
So,
he was picking up blitzes. He was at.
So going forward, no, that's cool. And go on with your thought. But I was just wondering what you think about if you think they're going to do sort of the running back by committee with Montgomery and Jones now.
They will. I mean, knowing McCarthy, he likes to pretend. I was tweeting with some other guys that were talking about this, and I said a lot of coaches do this. They want to be the smartest guy in the room. I think, McCarthy wants to be the guy who went out and converted a wide receiver to a running back and made it work. I think he somehow desperately wants to make that work. And now the other thing is, Ty Montgomery's been getting a lot of the reps and getting it with the ones and all that. I get that too, but they interviewed these players after the game, and everybody's fawning, and they're going, we knew how talented Aaron Jones was. We knew this, that, or the other. And I'm like, well, why the frick wasn't he on the field? Wow. Why did it take all these injuries to get him on the field? And that's some of that is just pig-headed. I mean, it's just bullheadedness,
Wow.
So if he's smart, he's the number one running back, and they sprinkle in Ty Montgomery here and there. If McCarthy's smart, we'll see. I mean, by committee, it could work. It just used Ty Montgomery more in the passing situation, and I think it would be, even as a decoy, I think it'd be fine. So, next note, and this kind of goes along with the running game. The patchwork offensive line played. I would say they did what they needed to do. They had Brian Bulaga back at right tackle, which having one tackle back definitely helped. Lane Taylor had to play left tackle again because Bakhtiari and the hamstring that never heals, as I'll call it. Obviously, I think Bakhtiari tore something. I mean, it wasn't just a strain or whatever. He tore something. I mean, that's a worse injury than they're letting on. But Lane Taylor had to get kicked out, and he struggled a bit more because it's a faster track, turf on the opponent's feet or on the road. But they held up enough. And a running back still has to have good blocking to make some moves and whatnot. And they did pretty well actually in the running game. So kudos to they have not. They're the only team in the NFL that hasn't started. They've had a different starting offensive line every freaking game. I think I read they haven't had the whole five starting out there.
Well, even during the game, they kind of did the little slideshow of all the different lineups we had.
Nuts.
So
It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's I mean, they really need to get left tackle is the most important position on this offensive line.
And it's got to be tough. I mean, even if let's say they're all equally good, everybody on the team, they're all equally good, which is not true. And they could all play any position. Just the reps, just the familiarity, all that stuff, right?
Like, sure, exactly.
Yeah, there's just no way. You have to have a little bit of repetition in there.
Exactly. So I hope that Bakhtiari, they need him back, but I would not. I mean, if he's hurt as bad as they say he is, they need to let him heal. They cannot bring him back early because that would be catastrophic if he suffers. If he re-injures it because they bring him back too early, he'll probably go on injured reserve. That'd be very bad. So, they're holding up without him, which is good, but it'd be real nice to get him back.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see him.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Next bullet. Oh, man. Special teams. One of the worst performances I've ever seen from special teams on any team. 2 missed extra points indoors.
What?
Indoors in a dome.
What was that? And I mean, I sort of, in a way, understand the second one almost more than the first one.
Well,
because it looked like he overcompensated.
Yeah. The little bit of background. So the long snapper. I mean, the whole kicking, sequence, if you will, is so predicated on exact timing.
Of course.
I get that. That's every team's like that.
Yeah.
But Brett Good, who was their old long snapper, he went on injured reserve a couple games ago because he tore his hamstring.
Yeah.
So they had to bring in another long snapper, and this guy came in, and man, I'll tell you what, he had a couple bad snaps. One of the missed extra points was directly his fault, crappy snap.
Yeah.
Another one was it wasn't the greatest snap, and then the whole operation kind of broke down. And I think it looked like Crosby kind of overcompensated, but I was thinking that they might not even bring that poor long snapper on the plane. Man, because you talk about
that was crucial.
Position that has no there's
no room for error.
Secureness. There's no secureness on the team as a freaking long snapper.
Oh yeah, right.
So who knows? But that was unbelievable. And when they happened, missing the extra points, I'm like, these better not come back to haunt us. Well, lo and behold, they did in some fashion. So Jesus, 2 in one game in a dome. I was stunned.
Yeah.
They got to get that shit together. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Hopefully it was an anomaly.
That is crucial. I mean, I don't think this is going to be the last close game of the season. I think it was the most important close game of the season, but we'll see. I mean, maybe that's wrong.
Thus far, without question.
But
to win on the road in a conference rival.
Yeah. It was great.
It was.
I guess this is kind of outside football, but did you see all the stuff this week about Roger, the Wikipedia thing, Rodgers owning the Texas State?
People go in there and edit that and they say he owns the Dallas Cowboys.
God, I love that. I love my team. I love my people. It's so good.
And the internet, I think I said this before, the native language of the internet is sarcasm. It's just like, it's amazing what people in the internet, just the trolling that goes on of all shapes and sizes is spectacular.
I don't condone I don't know what you call it. It's sort of like just destruction, right? It's not vandalism, but
yeah.
I mean, it was all good fun and it was hilarious.
I know. You kind of go, ooh, that is such a brutal, but I love it. Thank God it's not happening to me.
And you know what? It's a competitive league, and in some fashion, that is going to come back at us. It is.
I know. I mean, Rodgers' record against Cowboys is pretty damn good. I mean, he got beat at Lambeau last year, but all in all, it's quite good.
Yeah.
Now, Debbie Downer again, but hey, I have to say it. And I mean, the defense at the end of the game when we needed a stop, they gave up some long 9-minute. Where the Cowboys just did what they ran it every freaking down, it seemed, and
they ran it on third down, on fourth down. It was like they could just go at will.
It was terrible. Yeah. Now the play call to get that Dak Prescott, he did that little quarterback sneak like a read option, and then he ran untouched, and that was a great call. It fooled me. By the time he was in the end zone, I was like, "Who has the ball?" I mean, it was a great call.
Yeah,
but that defensive series was that is a microcosm. You need a freaking stop, and they kept the ball forever, and they just kept moving the chains. And even we knew what was coming. We're like, they're going to run it. They're going to run it. They're going to run it. And we could not stop anything. It's depressing at times. But lo and behold, they left Rodgers a minute and change, I think.
Just enough time.
That was a Hall of Fame drive. That's what I said right here. I mean, an NFL Hall of Fame career drive. Because that touchdown pass to Devontae Adams is...
two in a row?
People, again, I mean, all I can say is this. After all that happened, and I went on Twitter, the amount of superlatives that many pundits were throwing at Rodgers were just, and I agree with them. I mean, the guy is all you can. I mean, one guy said, he goes, there's going to be people generations from now telling them what a privilege it was to watch Rodgers play quarterback. That's how the guy, as a talent, I think we talked about it, but what else can you say? As a pure talent, there's nobody close to him in the NFL.
So he's brilliant, but he's also a fantastic leader and a pretty decent team player. Because the thing about that to me, and maybe I'm just thinking too much about it, but he went to Adams. They didn't get it. He went back to Adams, and Adams was out with a bad injury last week.
Yeah, that's a good. I mean, I was surprised Adams even played, and he had 2 touchdowns.
And I think that was by design. So to be able to march down the field
could be right.
And to just inflict your will on the opposition in their stadium.
I do know the cornerback he was going up against. I think he was a rookie. I mean, he's not, he's not terrible or anything, but they were kind of targeting him.
Sure.
And the touchdown pass he threw was that's what they call that back shoulder, but he threw it where it was high, but it was just. It was a sight to behold. And then the scramble he had to get the first down. That was a fantastic drive. I mean, I was nervous as hell pacing around, like I said, but when he threw that touchdown pass to Adams, I was just like,
oh yeah,
I couldn't believe it. Buddy was over here with his kids.
That last minute, we were all pacing. Everybody was pacing in the whole city.
But he's just, like I said, you're running out of words. How many warts Rodgers covers up is stunning.
Yeah.
So that was awesome to see. What can you say?
All I can say is I want him to do it earlier. That's all.
Yeah, well said. Actually, what was interesting? I'd forgotten about this. Jordy Nelson wasn't even on the field for that final drive. Apparently, when on the 2-point conversion that failed, a couple on the drive before that we had, he hurt himself.
Right.
He sprawled out to try and catch that, and he was open, but Rodgers missed him. And he landed all funky, and apparently he hurt his back.
Yeah.
There's like some kind of weird stinger, and they held him out. And he's a full participant, and apparently he's fine this week. But they wouldn't elaborate on his injury. But I remember they kept going to the sidelines with the camera. And
what's going on?
Exactly. You're like, if he's not on the field, he's hurt. And But the fact that your number 1 wide receiver and a top 5 wide receiver in the league wasn't even on the field, and you still marched it right down the field like that's even more impressive. So, what can you say?
What I'm saying is I can't wait for Minnesota, and we better win.
Yeah, that's going to be. Every game's tough.
Yeah.
Zimmer has a great defense, and Rodgers always is heaping praise on Mike Zimmer's defense. And I mean, playing in Minnesota is tough. I mean, this is not going to be. I'm picking the Packers to win, but it's not going to be. I really don't think the Packers are going to be blowing anybody out.
No, I think the Vikings are going to be a great team next year. And I think
Teddy Bridgewater actually is going to come off the pup pretty soon, and Bradford is just breaking down. He's just a China doll. I mean, when he's healthy, he's good, but he can't stay healthy. And if Bridgewater, you're right. I think Vikings are going to be ascending next year for sure. So that'll be a good game.
If they can be even, if they could go 8-8 this year, I think that they're set up really well for next year.
It's just Rodgers if we can get him just a decent defense, please.
Yeah.
We're not asking for the best ever. We're asking middle of the road here for Pete's sakes, but. Anyway,
right?
It is.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much game stuff. Outside of football stuff is next, and so
everybody's turning the show off now. Okay. All 3 listeners are turning it off right now. They're like, they do not want to hear about Mike Pence.
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about him, but this is our duty to talk about things like this. So we'll just kind of open it up. I mean, everybody who's anybody kind of knows what happened. And I tend to kind of defer to you on some of these things more. I mean, I have my opinions and whatnot, but you and I kind of talked about a little bit that the whole look was bad. And
it was a stunt, period.
It was a stunt, obviously. And doing it on the taxpayer dime, and I just, and here's where I'll leave it at too. I mean, when you look at, and again, what a president and administration is supposed to do, they just seem like they're pushing to divide everything.
Well put. Yeah.
And I mean, what is the? I mean, it's a rhetorical question, I guess.
We have a very divided country.
What good can come of this?
None. No good. And
so why do it?
And there is no reason to do it.
Well,
I mean,
I don't know.
there was absolutely no reason to do it because Indy is they're gonna go Republican anyway. It doesn't matter. It's his home state, but I mean, vice presidents aren't that important anyway. So it like politically, it did nothing to help them. It did nothing to help the NFL. It really didn't hurt the NFL. It hurt him. I don't want to disrespect our president and our vice president, but boy, they make it easy.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I mean, the complicit. I mean, let's call it what it is. I mean, Pence and all. He was like his lackey. Go do this.
And you know what? He is entitled to his political opinion. He's entitled to his football opinions, but it cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more than that.
$250,000. I think they said.
That had nothing to do with the Secret Service. Any extra from the Secret Service, by the way. But let's just say it was only $250,000. God, do anything else with the money. Just stay in Washington and stay away from the Midwest. Just leave us alone. Go do your thing on the East Coast. Yeah. It's so to me, my blood boils when I think about the fleecing of the taxpayer for nothing.
Yeah, and the driving and. The like I said, it's the callousness and the maliciousness of trying to drive a wedge into division more. I'm trying to think if the end game was who are you trying to? You got to bring people together on some. I don't know. I'm just. So they're obviously better politicians than I am, and they're able to win the big game, but. If they think that this is setting them up for future success, I don't see it. I don't know. I don't know. Enough said on that. I tend to agree. I'm trying to think of other, diplomatic ways to talk about it.
I feel like I almost forgot about it until I saw your note, and then it all came rushing back.
I didn't want to really, but you have to. You have to address whatever.
Right.
So, but the next bullet I got. This is I don't know if you saw this link, but Roger Goodell. This came out. I think it was. An NFL beat reporter released it where Roger Goodell put out a memo to team owners. And if we click on this link here, essentially what it's doing, I mean, I can give you the short gist of it. He's trying to diplomatically say we have to move on past, the kneeling and how we treat this and the other. And essentially what he's doing is it's costing us money and we have to stop it. I mean, that's what it is. Now, there's a business. I get that they have to do that. But, part of this whole whirlwind thing is, and I've seen other, articles from mainstream left and right and all this kind of stuff saying that, the NFL, the owners, the league and everything, I mean, they're just, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know how to respond. They are caught in a weird spot. And I mean, just look at any day what Jerry Jones is doing. The guy's a freaking moron. He's just oh, geez, Louise. I mean, you talk about just setting himself up to just untenable situations with players and all that. And what they're trying to do is not lose money, but it feels like this weird powder keg. I mean, I don't know, but it's all about money and protecting the brand and all that. And they're trying to diplomatically say, let's move past this. Let's just get back to football. But they're doing it because it's hurting the bottom line. It's not because of any kind of moral stance,
So in a way, the NFL is a victim of its own success in this regard.
I completely agree with that.
Because they don't get to pick a side.
Yep.
If you can pick a side, like if you're NASCAR, you get to pick a side. If you're Major League Baseball, you kind of get to pick a side because you're going to side with old rich white guys, right? They're the only ones that watch baseball on a regular basis. But the NFL, they've done such a good job of marketing to everyone. So every color, every gender, every political party, they're like, nope, we want all of you as fans. They've been, very inclusive in that regard, and that really puts them in a bad situation because the players are not all, but the majority of players are kind of against the stance of the president.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Black. I mean, let's call it what it is.
Yeah, well, right.
There's even white players that don't like it too. I painted some.
No,
there's a lot of players, black, white.
I would say it to me it seems like it's it's at least 90%. I think it's even higher than that.
I agree.
So, I don't even think it's a racial thing in regards to what it is now.
Yeah.
So it's a I don't know. So they are a victim of their own success, and like I'm talking like we need to fix it, but I'm like, I wish I had those kind of problems.
Yeah, it's a facetious tone. Well, here's a question for you. I mean, and we didn't really talk about this, but so I'm kind of putting you on the spot. But I mean, the history with Trump and how he tried to buy an NFL team, and the NFL
Sure.
owners back in the '80s said, go take a flying fuck, pardon my French. We're not going to let you anywhere near it. And you get the feel. I mean, his whole life is built on vendettas. And
I know.
I could almost see he's just trying to stick it. Now that he's the president of the freaking United States, he's trying to do that because of that. And he had to try and go to the USFL, and then he burned that bridge down. And just it's just.
It's
it's
all
amazing
of that.
how what you're finding is, for these owners that are great at making money and they're good businessmen, how completely unprepared they are to deal with anything remotely dealing with this is, in a weird way, it's kind of fascinating to watch. Does that make sense?
Of course it does.
Just completely unprepared, and it's happening at them so fast. You're seeing Goodell have to, straddle the line, put out these memos and do this and talk out of both sides of his mouth. I mean, it's just, and so Trump is, you talk about being a disruptor, holy cow, in a way that you've never seen, because they, like I said, they just look so shell-shocked and they don't know what to do.
So we have these international brands that are, owned by the NFL, right?
Yep.
And they're, brands that are beloved the world over, but yet, for the most part, the teams have been free from national and international politics.
Yep.
They had a good ride.
No, you're right. That's a great way of putting it. I was thinking about that. I mean, that is done. They're talking. I mean, talking about all leagues getting involved with something like this. The NFL is the one under the microscope because it's the big league and it's going on right now. But I mean, Well, look at it this way: when the NBA goes back in session,
right?
I mean, good luck.
Well, that's soon. That's like next
pretty
week.
Progressive league when it comes to the commissioner and how they deal with stuff like that. But you talk about a powder keg. I mean, what percentage of the league is African American, or even the NFL, and just everything like that.
So I actually think it won't be as big of a problem with the NBA because I think that their fan base is right there with them.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's as big
true.
of a problem
In terms of losing viewership and stuff like that. Yeah, you're right. The NFL. That's a good point. The NFL.
They're not afraid of losing Republicans.
Yeah. No kidding. That's a good point. That's a good point. But it's just, you're right. The age of franchises and sports teams and juggernauts like that, of not having to dip into these perilous waters, is over.
Yeah.
It's done.
And I don't want to diminish that. I'm sure there'll be some stuff about it, but it's not going to be like the NFL was. Like the NFL, they
you make about the NBA. That's a good point. I mean, it's about viewership, and I mean, it's
and there's that too. It's a smaller base, so even if they lose the same percent, it's smaller real world numbers. It just doesn't matter as much. But it's also, I think that their fan base, their players, the league, I think they're more aligned politically.
No, I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that.
And that doesn't mean 100%, but the NFL, I feel like the players tend to lean a little more left than the average, than the fans. The fans are 50-50. Mm-hmm. It's really representative of the country. And but in the NBA, I think the percentage way off. It's way into the left, way. So we'll see.
That's interesting.
Could be wrong, but I think
we're just going to have to, with this kind of stuff, it's literally going to be day by day and week by week to see. You know what I mean? Next week we could be talking about, I don't know, president buys a team and then calls them the American flags and names them. I don't know. That's the best thing I can come up with.
Yeah.
But why don't we end on something funny? JS comments.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even look any up.
It's all right. Actually, I went on it quick to see there hasn't been a whole lot since last time. They've been tame and dormant for a little bit, but there's still a couple of gems we can go off of.
Calm before the storm.
Yeah. So the latest one. Now I'll read it without context. JS comments is just for those tuning in or want to know. JS comments, all it does is it takes comments from stories of the Journal Sentinel and without any context just tweets them out as if it's just a phrase. So
right.
Packers, why not make a trade to offer Cleveland for Joe Thomas? I believe off tackle is a need as much as defense. Joe Thomas is the best left tackle in the league. He's not going anywhere. If we wanted to trade for Joe Thomas, we'd probably have to give up Aaron Rodgers to get him.
Right.
But people talk about that all the time. And, Joe Thomas, he used to play at Wisconsin. Like, that means something.
Right.
So there's one there. Some of these are just kind of dumb. Okay, this one, I guess, again, it's just no context, but it's all caps. Wonderlic scores matter. Okay.
Yeah. There's not as much funny stuff this time.
I like
That's
I
about
like this one, though. September 20. I don't know if this one wasn't here. Trevathan is a piece of shit. He should be suspended for the rest of the season and evaluated for mental illness or defect.
Right.
That's a good one. We could end on that one right there.
I think that's as funny as
that's actually that's more truth than just like a Facebook,
right?
Right. So
yeah. Okay. Let's call it a day.
Yeah.
And we will pick things back up next week after the Vikings win.
Excellent. I'm picking a win. We do the picks closer to the game, but I am picking a win. I'll have to see what the score is. Where I'm thinking that's going to be.
My pick on the score, I wouldn't have picked how we got there, but I was pretty close.
Were you?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what I picked for a score, but
I think I said 24-17, so I was like ballpark, but not that close.
Yeah,
and I'm talking Cowboys, obviously, but
yeah. I don't know what's going to happen next week.
It should be a good game. It really should.
Yeah, I kind of don't want it to be.
No, I hear you. Now, one thing I will say, I mean, Bradford isn't even going to play, so it's going to be.
I know, I saw that.
If we get lit up by Case Keenum, then just I don't know. And they lost that running back Dalvin Cook. He's out for the year towards ACL, so they're down their best running back and their starting quarterback. And if they manage to beat us,
oh my god,
or I shouldn't say beat us, but if they manage to make our defense look stupid, if it's a shootout and we lose to that kind of crap, whatever. But we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ending on a high note. All right. Out.
Podcast.
Chair.
I know, right?